your attention to one aspect of this that I think is really crucial, particularly for kids today. And that is the voluntary ability to get here. It's called cognitive control. When you do mindfulness, you're amping up cognitive control. Just, Meng, for your information, yesterday I was in Chicago and I gave a talk, and Roger Weisberg was there from the Collaborative for Social Emotional Learning. And he said he really sees this as a next step, the integration of basically attentional training with emotional intelligence. So cognitive control is talked about depending on people's point of view in a lot of interesting ways. Sometimes it's called the delay of gratification, the allocation of attention, working memory, the resistance to distractions, impulse inhibition, goal focus, and learning readiness. The level of cognitive control in a young child determines how well he or she can pay attention to what the teacher is saying, to the textbook, to the lesson. It's absolutely essential for comprehension. And there's a bell curve for this. One of the first tests of cognitive control, actually the most famous, was done very near here at Stanford in the Bing preschool there, which is on campus. And they brought 4-year-olds in, sat them down at a little table, put a big juicy marshmallow on the table, and the experimenter says, "You can have this marshmallow now if you want, but if you don't eat it till I run an errand and come back, you can have 2 then." And then she leaves the room. This is a predicament that tries the soul of any 4-year-old. I promise you. I've seen videos, some go and lick it and then jump back, like it's a dangerous thing. Some just sing and dance, sing to themselves to distract themselves. About a third can't stand it. They just gobble it down on the spot. Another third wait the endless 10 minutes or whatever, and they get the 2. The payoff finding comes 14 years later when they're tracked down and the 2 groups are compared, the ones who grabbed and the ones who waited. And it turns out the ones who waited still can delay gratification in pursuit of their goals, which is what that's a test of. But more interestingly, they have a 210-point advantage out of 1,600 points on the SAT. Now, the SAT is an achievement test. It's a test of what you have learned. It's not an IQ test. And when I told this to the people at Princeton that make the SAT, they were stunned because they said, that's bigger than the difference that we see between kids who come from a family where parents have only an elementary school education and those where one parent at least has a graduate degree. But these are all children of people at Stanford University. So what's emerging is that cognitive control is an independent asset, the ability to pay attention well. This was really nailed by a study done in New Zealand, where they took every child born in a city, I think 1,037 children, over 1 year. Between ages 4 and 8, they tested them rigorously for cognitive control, and then they tracked them down when they were 32. You can only do this in New Zealand. Do not try this in Silicon Valley, I assure you. And what they found was that a child's cognitive control between 4 and 8 predicted that child's financial success and health in their mid-30s better than IQ or the social economic status of the family they grew up in. Think about that. It's very, very compelling, and it's made me feel that and many other findings that we should be paying more attention to this aspect of attention for children. It should be part of education. Because in the study in New Zealand, they found that children who between 4 and 8 managed to boost their cognitive control had the same benefits. And one of the conclusions was that, yes, we should teach this to kids. And in fact, if we taught it to all kids, it would help the productivity of the economy. People would be much more effective in their work. So